You've lived a great life and done well for yourself. But what mark will you leave on the world? How will you inspire future generations? Stan Miller and Katie Beth Hand have helped thousands of people answer exactly those questions. If you've ever wondered, what will be my legacy? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Your Life, Your Legacy podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Stan and Katie Beth.
Good day, everyone. I'm Rod Hatley of the Hatley Law Group and a member of Legacy Leaders, and I have the privilege to co-host the Your Life, Your Legacy podcast. And today it's my privilege to speak with Karen Buelterman. I think I got that right.
Yes, you did. That's right.
Karen is a mortgage specialist here in San Diego, where I live and practice law. And we had identified Karen as somebody who could provide some great insights into owning that piece of the rock, that American dream that we all aspire to have. And homeownership is obviously one way to get there. So anyway, Karen, it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for being available to be on the podcast. And let me just start off with this question. Why did you choose to become a mortgage specialist? How did that happen?
I just wanted to be able to help people, help guide people purchase their dream. And like I said, the piece of the rock, and help them build that wealth that is so needed today.
Okay. Were there any influences that had happened to you, or maybe you just had this aha moment, this is where I should be, this is what I should be doing with my life?
That's funny you should ask, because in my previous life, I was in the travel industry as a travel rep, and then 9/11 hit. So my income dropped 95% overnight. So I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I remembered I had a friend whose husband owned a mortgage brokerage. And I said, hey, I'd be willing to do anything. I just need some help. Do you guys need some help? Do you guys need some help? And she said, you know what? Why don't you just come on in, introduce yourself to some loan officers, ask them some questions, find out if this is something you might want to do. She said, I think you would really be good as a loan officer. So I did it. And I interviewed a few loan officers and realized that, oh my gosh, this is such an important part of the piece in people's lives. They're purchasing usually their largest purchase they're ever going to make. So I started in loans. I got myself a desk, a phone, and I taught myself business. And here we are 23 years later.
Yeah, congratulations. That's terrific. Can you share with us what you enjoy most about what you do?
Helping people. I really think that there's so much information, but more misinformation on the internet.
Right.
So what I like to do is educate people into the process and be the advocate between the underwriter and my clients, so I can help them navigate through the process of getting a loan, because it's not as easy as people think. And with lending and tightening up and sometimes loosening up, and it's just good to have that advocate out there to help them, guide them through that system, that maze.
Let me ask you, just out of my curiosity, excuse me, what was, if you can remember, was there ever a case where it just happened so quickly? I mean, you hit all the numbers, it just went through like butter, you know? I mean, what was the shortest that you ever had? And if you can share, what was maybe the longest you ever had?
Yeah, actually, the shortest time frames and to get a loan is when my clients cooperate and give me what is needed and as quickly as possible. And that can be done in anywhere from 10 to 12 days if everything is done correctly and the lender is on board and everybody is in sync, right? The longest is a more complicated loan, such as a rehab loan, where they're actually purchasing a home and rehabbing it. Because you can do that. You can buy the worst house on the block, and with normal lending practices, they won't lend on a house like that with health and safety issues. So when you do something like this, you have to go in and purchase a house, get the credit qualifying done first, and then start building and rehabbing the house. So that can take up to 60 days.
Okay, good to know. Didn't know that you could buy a home and rehab it. And really, I learned something new today. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Here's a question I've got for you. Can you share with our audience any situations where you saw a family go through a difficult time due to a lack of planning? I guess more so on the mortgage side of things. I'm sure you've got some horror stories, but maybe just one would be enough to help people understand the value that you bring to the table.
Absolutely. It's amazing to me that people don't check their credit when they're purchasing something, usually a large purchase, such as a house or appliances or a vehicle. That's the only time that they know what their credit score is. And I can't tell you how many times that an issue has come up where we had to completely stop the process and order for them to contact a credit consultant to help fix that. It's just amazing to me that people just don't check their credit and make sure that their identity isn't stolen, stuff like that. And the whole process was delayed. Yeah. Also, a lot of people think, all right, well, our lease is up in January, or just say this is April now, our lease is up in May. Let's get a house and we can do this real quickly. And I say, okay, I talk to them and get their information. Of course, they have absolutely no budget and no money whatsoever. So it's like, oh my gosh, let's start from ground. It's like an elephant, right? You look at the elephant and you go, oh my gosh, it's a huge step. But if you start with the toenail and work your way up, it's an easier process.
Right. Yeah. That's the old saying, how do you eat that elephant one bite at a time? So very good. Can you share with us who would be your ideal client or referral to work with? What is a good referral for you?
Anybody who's interested in purchasing a home or refinancing, to be honest with you, the steps I can help them with, but that's my best referral.
Okay.
For client.
And let's see now, you work in the realm of financial advising because you're helping folks get that loan so they can buy that dream, that home, whether it's a first home or maybe it's a second, or they've moved up in the world, they've done well, they've raised the family, and now they've got that dream home that they've always wanted, et cetera. Maybe it's on the beach or what have you. What about the financial advisor associations? I suspect you probably belong to a number of them, doing what you do and keeping your finger on the pulse of what's happening out there. Do they do enough training, in your opinion, to help people like you and other people who are adjacent to you, realtors and financial advisors, et cetera, to do their jobs or to provide that great value that we're all looking for?
Actually, yes, they do. Now, since I am affiliated with a broker, not only do I have to have my mortgage license, I also have to have my real estate license. But we work with over 160 different lenders, and each one of them has their own guidelines and trainings. And so it's a constant training platform. Now, if you were going to ask me about the clients, what's out there for my clients and what training is out there for them, there's multitudes of trainings. People just don't take advantage of it unless they have to or feel that now is the time, instead of preparing and learning ahead of time. That's, I think, where a little bump in the road is for clients, is they just don't think that they need any education.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to ask you, if you can, if you'd be comfortable doing so, share with us one of the greatest experiences you've had as a mortgage loan specialist, and what was maybe the opposite of that, a really bad, is, wow, this is like the case from hell, you know.
And it took the longest, and right?
Of course, they always do. Yep.
Always. The best experience I had was, I was only in the business a couple of years, and this Japanese couple got a hold of me. They weren't residents yet. They were planning on becoming U.S. residents. And I helped them buy their first home. And I got a card from them about a month later and said, you know, I was a very big part of them becoming part of the United States. And I was the first one and to help them become a part of society in the United States. That was very heartwarming. And that was like, this is why I do what I do.
Yeah, you're walking on air when you get a card like that, because it really makes it, you've made a difference in their life.
Yes.
And I have no doubt that when they hear somebody who needs to get a home loan, you'll be the first one that they call out to and say, hey, look, you need to go see Karen. She can definitely help you on this. So anyway, that's terrific. And if we can now just veer to the flip side of that, what was the worst case that you've been involved with?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few, just like there's been a few very good ones, but just one example is a couple who didn't want to play by the rules of lending. And it's weird. Lending is its own animal. It has its own terms. It has its own way of calculating income. And a lot of people just don't want to comply, and
Sure.
understanding to a point, but I'm just here to help you. But if you aren't willing to play by the rules by giving me the documentation that's needed, or why do I need this, or why do I need that? I gave you the first page of my statement. How come I need all pages? Or my first page of my tax returns. I don't want anybody to know my business.
Right.
It makes it a lot more difficult. And then if you have an escrow company, at that particular file, I had an escrow company who was very difficult and very pushy. I had a real estate agent that was on both sides, very impatient. And actually one of them was new and didn't know what the heck they were doing. So I was helping them, guide them through the process. And it's very stressful, but we got it done. So that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, but if you've got a client who's willing to meet you halfway and to get you the information as requested, when requested, I would see the same thing on the estate planning side of the house. When I am drafting a plan for clients, I want them to get us the information so we can draft the plan for them. And sometimes they're very slow to get that done. And it can make it really challenging to provide the great value that we think that we afford all of our clients. But anyway, the point is well noted. Work with your advisor, make sure that he or she is getting the information on a timely basis, because that will speed up that process and make it go a lot more smoothly. What marketing sources do you use, or do you avail yourself of to provide awareness to the public generally about the services that you provide?
I have a CRM that I work, of course, and I send out emails to my clients with updates. I send out weekly emails to my referral partners. I use LinkedIn, I use Facebook, and to get my name out there. But one thing that's really unusual that I do is that I help my listing agents. And how I do that is I help them with taking videos of the outside of the house. The real estate agent takes videos of the inside and shows what the property looks like and what the amenities are. I take videos of the outside, the neighborhood, the things to do in that neighborhood. So when they look at a house, they say, oh my gosh, I had no idea that there was this really good restaurant, or there was a really cool park, or a museum next by us. So I show them street scenes on that video, and I help my listing agents sell their house that way, because I showed the other side of the house and neighborhood.
Very interesting. I don't know that I've ever heard of another mortgage specialist who does that. That's the first time I've ever heard that. I would always think, certainly for the realtor, he or she would show you what the house looks like, an exterior, the curb appeal, and then take you inside. These are the amenities, these are the rooms, this is the layout, etc. Never heard of anybody doing what you do to show them, well, let's give you some context. This is the neighborhood in which you're going to be living. And these are the amenities in that neighborhood. These are the attractions. That's terrific. I never heard of that.
Thank you.
This is the first time. Okay.
Good.
Let's see. What is one thing that people need to know about you and the services that you provide?
Well, I work on the educational approach. Someone could have millions of dollars in the bank and have no idea of how the mortgage lending process works. So I work on the educational approach, whether it be talking about credit, how your credit is used, and about the credit reports and the different types of programs, but making sure that I put them into the right program and strategize with them to make sure that they're comfortable with the product, the rate, the payment, and with me, really, and make sure that process is easy and smooth as I possibly can.
Yeah, obviously we want to like the people that we're working with, and it has to be a good fit, obviously, but then to help them understand this is how I work. These are the process steps we're going to go through to get you where you want to be ultimately, which is to have the keys to your new home in your hand, and the adventure begins. Okay. I'm going to throw this out and just see what you think about it. You've probably heard this phrase, trusted advisor. And I guess it's something that all of us as professionals, we aspire to be that trusted advisor to our clients. Does that have any meaning for you in terms of being a mortgage loan specialist?
Absolutely, because I want my clients and my referral partners to know I do what I say, and I say what I'm going to do. So I make sure that I go to the ends of the earth for my clients and my referral partners to make sure that everybody gets what they want. But it's communication is key, really. Communicating, no matter if it's communicating something that you don't want to, that my clients don't want to hear, or my referral partners don't want to hear, but making sure that communication is out there and that they know that what I say is true and it's going to be the best for my clients and my referral partners. Absolutely.
Terrific. Thank you for sharing that. And to you, what does it mean to be a mortgage loan specialist? I mean, at the end of the day, what does that really mean to you? Obviously, not everybody does that, but it's a specialty, certainly. And what does that mean to you, if you could share that with us?
It means to me that I'm helping people getting a piece of the rock, just a full circle here, making sure that I am their advisor to help them get the ultimate goal, whether to be to purchase a home, like you said, a primary, second, or investment home, refinance into the lowest rate or getting cash out, making sure that I did the best job possible. And to make sure that I'm communicating with everybody and making sure that the job gets done and with as little stress as possible.
And I think this kind of goes without saying, but why would people choose to work with a mortgage loan specialist? I think, I can't imagine how you would buy a home without working with someone like yourself. But just share with us, if you would, why it's so important to work with a mortgage loan specialist like you.
That's actually a really good question, because every once in a while I have to do my own research, right, on something. And I go into the internet and I find old news, out of state news, out of context information that's out there. Working with someone who's up to date, because things change so often. And having all these lenders out there that have their own guidelines on top of the regular investors like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, USDA, VA. They have
the alphabet soup,
et cetera, right? So they have their own guidelines that on top of that. So you want to make sure that you're working with someone to help guide you through that funnel to make sure at the end of the day, they get what they want.
Terrific. Okay, thank you. And who are the best referral sources for you? I suspect I know, but help our audience understand how the people that you work with and that you get your business from.
Past clients, number one, referrals from my past clients, but real estate agents, CPAs, financial advisors, friends, family, neighbors, just getting the word out there. What I do, I don't know a couple of years ago, I said, yeah, I'm in the mortgage business. I said, I wish I would have known that because I refinanced, or because my friend was doing this. And oh my gosh, I messed up on that one. I should have let that person know. It's just getting the word out there what you do.
I would imagine, I'm an attorney, but I don't do family law. But I would imagine it probably wouldn't be unusual that a divorce attorney or a family law attorney, as we would call it here in California, would be probably a source of business for you, because after the marriage ends, maybe it's the wife needs to find a new place, or she has the kids now, so she needs to relocate or find a place of her own for the children, et cetera. So I assume that you work with, to some extent, with family law attorneys.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. Thanks for bringing that up. Family law attorneys are definitely a good resource because things change.
And just as we wrap it up here, how can folks find you out there in the world?
I have my own website. I'm on Facebook. YouTube is where I post those videos for those properties you can just put my name in YouTube. And of course, I'm in LinkedIn as well.
Right. And when this is edited down, we'll have your name and your contact information there. So folks who are either watching this or listening to it, there'll be more information, but I'll go ahead and share it for those who don't watch the video or don't have the ability, because I think most people probably listen to this podcast more so than would watch it. You're at Arbor Financial Group.net, and that's the company with which you're associated. And the last name is spelled Buelterman, Karen Buelterman. And you can find her on YouTube. And she's also on LinkedIn too, Karen Buelterman. Karen, any last before we bring this to a close today?
I appreciate you interviewing me. You have a great podcast. I listened to several of them, and it's great information that's out there. I really appreciate it. I feel blessed that I'm a part of it. Thank you.
You're welcome. We appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. Thank you for being here today. Thanks for being on the podcast. And we'll have this up at some point in the not too distant future. And if anyone listening, especially in the San Diego, California area, needs a good mortgage loan specialist, Karen would be worth a phone call to find out if she can help you. Karen, let me ask you this in that regard. Are you just limited to San Diego, or do you, Arbor Financial, I assume, is that a national office perhaps, or how does that work?
I'm licensed in California only, but our company and other loan officers are licensed in other places, and we are spread out probably in almost every state in the West.
Very good. Okay. So even if Karen's not able to help you, almost invariably, she should be able to find you someone who could assist you with your mortgage loan needs. Karen, an absolute pleasure to spend time with you. Thank you for being on the podcast today. We look forward to getting this up and posted here shortly, and hope that our listeners enjoy listening. And if Karen can help, please reach out to her. She'll be honored to be of contribution. Thanks again.
Thanks for listening to the Your Life, Your Legacy podcast with Stan Miller and Katie Beth Hand. If you enjoyed the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. To find out more about Stan and Katie Beth, go to pinnaclelegacylaw.com. You can also find links in the show notes.